What if I told you winter just broke? Not in the way you might think. Not a gradual warming or a seasonal shift. I'm talking about a complete, sudden flip that's about to catch millions of Americans completely off guard. I'm looking at weather data right now that shows something I've never seen before. While parts of the eastern United States are experiencing life-threatening cold with wind chills of 30 below zero, other areas are preparing for temperatures 40 degrees above normal. This isn't just unusual. This is meteorologically stunning. Let me paint you the picture of what's happening right now as I speak. In New England, people are dealing with wind chills that can literally kill you if you're not prepared. We're talking about exposed skin freezing in minutes, cars that won't start, pipes bursting in homes that have never experienced this kind of cold before. But here's where this story gets absolutely wild. Less than 1,000 miles away, in places like Kansas and Iowa, people are preparing for weather that feels more like late April than early February. We're talking about Des Moines hitting 70 degrees on Monday, when the average high should be 32 degrees. Let that sink in for a moment. 70 degrees. In Iowa. In February. That's not just above average. That's nearly double the normal temperature. That's the kind of temperature swing that makes meteorologists do double takes at their computer screens. This is what we're calling the Great Thaw of 2026, and it's about to reshape everything we thought we knew about this winter. Here's what's happening behind the scenes that makes this so extraordinary. The jet stream, that river of air high in the atmosphere that steers our weather, has essentially flipped upside down. Instead of the normal flow pattern we expect in winter, it's created this massive ridge of high pressure that's acting like a blowtorch across the central United States. This ridge is so powerful that it's pushing tropical-like air masses northward with an intensity I've rarely seen. We're talking about moisture and warmth streaming up from the Gulf of Mexico all the way into the upper Midwest. Meanwhile, that same jet stream pattern has created a deep trough in the east that's acting like a funnel for Arctic air. It's like the atmosphere has created two completely different seasons happening simultaneously across the same continent. The numbers are almost hard to believe. Topeka, Kansas could see temperatures 42 degrees above average. 42 degrees. That's not a minor warm-up. That's a complete departure from reality as we know it in February. But here's what makes this story even more incredible. This isn't going away anytime soon. The Climate Prediction Center's extended outlooks show this pattern persisting for weeks. We're not talking about a brief warm spell followed by a return to winter. We're looking at a fundamental shift that could last well into March. From Miami to Phoenix, from Denver to Columbus, the entire southern tier of the United States is about to experience prolonged above-normal temperatures. It's like someone moved the entire weather map 500 miles south. The human stories that are going to emerge from this flip are going to be remarkable. Imagine being a farmer in Minnesota who's been dealing with sub-zero temperatures for weeks, suddenly facing 60-degree weather that has you questioning whether to start field preparations months early. Or think about the ski resort operators in Colorado who might go from perfect powder conditions to temperatures too warm for snowmaking in the span of a few days. Emergency responders are facing unprecedented challenges. Paramedics who have been treating hypothermia cases all week might suddenly be dealing with heat-related illnesses as people aren't prepared for such dramatic temperature swings. The psychological impact alone is significant. Seasonal affective disorder patterns could be completely disrupted as people experience summer-like conditions in the dead of winter. Energy grid operators are scrambling to adapt their systems. Power plants that have been running at maximum capacity to meet heating demands are suddenly going to face air conditioning loads they never planned for in February. Natural gas futures markets are in chaos as traders try to price in demand that could swing wildly within days. The impact on wildlife is going to be extraordinary and potentially devastating. Bears that are supposed to be hibernating might emerge early due to warming dens. Migratory birds could receive false spring signals and begin journeys they're not prepared for. Fish in northern lakes might experience thermal shock as ice cover disappears rapidly. Urban heat islands are going to become particularly pronounced during this flip. Cities that are designed to retain heat during winter are suddenly going to trap warm air in ways that could create uncomfortable or even dangerous conditions. Concrete and asphalt that have been absorbing what little heat was available are going to become heat radiators. But here's where this story takes a dramatic turn. When you have temperature contrasts this extreme, the atmosphere doesn't just sit there peacefully. It reacts, and it reacts violently. I'm already seeing signals for what could be a major storm system developing around Valentine's Day. When you get tropical-like air masses colliding with the remnants of Arctic air, you create the perfect recipe for explosive storm development. This isn't going to be your typical late winter storm. We're looking at the potential for severe weather on one side of the system and heavy snow on the other. It's like spring and winter are going to duke it out right in the middle of the country. The atmospheric rivers that are going to start slamming the West Coast are another piece of this puzzle. These rivers of moisture in the sky are going to dump enormous amounts of precipitation, which will then get carried over the Rockies and interact with all this warm, unstable air. We're essentially looking at a pattern that's going to produce storm after storm after storm. Some will bring severe weather, some will bring heavy snow, some will bring flooding rains, but they're all going to be powered by this incredible temperature contrast. The economic implications of this flip are staggering. Think about it. Regions that are currently dealing with emergency heating situations are about to switch to air conditioning needs in a matter of days. Energy grids that are strained from cold weather demand are suddenly going to face the opposite problem. Retail businesses are going to be caught completely off guard. Stores that have been selling winter coats and heating supplies might suddenly need to stock summer clothing and cooling equipment. Garden centers could see unprecedented demand for spring planting materials months ahead of schedule. The insurance industry is preparing for claims they've never seen before. Property damage from rapid temperature changes, agricultural losses from confused growing seasons, and business interruption claims from companies that can't adapt quickly enough to the changing conditions. Agricultural implications go far beyond simple crop confusion. Fruit trees that require specific chilling hours during winter might not get the cold they need, affecting entire harvest seasons months down the line. Livestock that have adapted to winter conditions might face heat stress they're not prepared for. Soil that's supposed to be frozen solid could become waterlogged as snow melts rapidly. Agriculture is going to be completely confused. Crops that are dormant for winter might start budding early, only to face the possibility of late-season cold snaps. Farmers who planned for typical February weather are about to deal with conditions they've never seen before. The psychological impact shouldn't be underestimated either. People who have been dealing with weeks of harsh winter conditions are about to experience weather that feels like a different season entirely. It's going to be disorienting on a massive scale. Seasonal businesses are facing existential challenges. Ski resorts that depend on February and March for their peak season could see their seasons cut dramatically short. Ice fishing outfitters might watch their product become obsolete overnight. Conversely, outdoor recreation businesses that don't normally operate in February might see unexpected opportunities. But here's what's really fascinating from a meteorological perspective. This flip is happening so quickly that ecosystems aren't going to have time to adapt. Animals that are in hibernation might wake up early. Migratory birds could get confused about timing. Plants might start budding in February only to face frost later. The contrast is going to be visible from space. Satellite imagery is going to show snow-covered regions right next to areas with green grass and blooming flowers. It's going to look like two different countries. What makes this particularly challenging for forecasters is that these kinds of extreme pattern flips create very unpredictable conditions. When the atmosphere is this out of balance, small changes can have huge impacts. The storm potential around Valentine's Day is particularly concerning because it's developing during this transition period. These transition zones are where the most explosive weather development occurs. Emergency management officials across the country are facing a unique challenge. They're simultaneously dealing with cold weather emergencies in some areas while preparing for potential severe weather outbreaks in others. It's a logistical nightmare. Transportation networks are going to be tested in ways they've never been tested before. Airlines that have been dealing with winter weather delays are suddenly going to face thunderstorm and severe weather delays. Trucking companies that equipped for winter conditions are going to encounter spring weather they weren't expecting. The social media impact is going to be incredible. People are going to be posting pictures of snow-covered landscapes next to images of people in shorts and t-shirts, all taken on the same day in the same country. This is the kind of weather event that redefines our understanding of what's possible. When people talk about climate variability and extreme weather, this is exactly what they're talking about. Not just hot or cold, but the rapid transitions between extremes. The Super Bowl tomorrow is going to have pleasant weather, 67 degrees with just a slight chance of showers. But that's almost beside the point compared to the bigger story of what's happening to our weather patterns. This winter flip is going to be studied for decades. It's the kind of event that gets its own chapter in meteorology textbooks. Students are going to learn about the Great Thaw of 2026 and the incredible temperature contrasts that developed. But for those of us living through it, it's going to be an experience unlike anything we've seen before. From life-threatening cold to record warmth in a matter of days, this is weather whiplash on a scale that's hard to comprehend. Winter just flipped, and honestly, nobody was ready for what's coming next.